to be starting some collaboration on how to marry CRM and CX, which we pitched to a conference and they accepted the topic for a session, which is fantastic. It just means that we have to now put in the work to figure out what that's going to look like. And so that is an exciting kind of marrying of the two. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Amanda and Chandra, and please introduce yourselves and then kick us off.
So hi, I'm Amanda Riel. Courtney keeps generously calling me the expert, but truly Chandra is the expert in all of this.
Thank you, Amanda, but no.
So Chandra and I have known each other for many years. I think maybe 4 years, 5 years going on. And so in my introduction to her, I actually worked for an engineering firm, and we were in the process of kind of integrating and kicking off a CX program. We had a client feedback program that we were using, and then we were really kind of trying to expand on that. So, and our client feedback program started as just the end of the project feedback that we all, or that some of you mentioned that you do now. And it really evolved into getting feedback at milestones and even sending feedback requests to people after we submitted a proposal and even after interviews to really help us sort of hone in on that process and help educate the clients too that we were really into this client feedback program and in our client experience program that we were developing internally. And it was pretty cool because of all the efforts that we put in and Chandra's help with that, we had a 90% return rate on our feedback. So we had, I mean, we sent hundreds of surveys every year and we had a 90% return, which was huge for us. And then ultimately that meant that we had a 94% return rate on clients. So we had pretty large, you always hear the 80-20 number when it comes to clients and then pursuing clients, but we actually had a larger return on clients, which meant that we were opportune to kind of grow what we were trying to do. So we opened new offices in the time that I was there and various things. So anyway, Chandra was a big help in a lot of that. And then, so I left there and started my own company. Oh, hello, Kitty, you look like mine. But anyway, I left to start my own company, so Pixels and Ink Studio. And so I'm a consultant to many AE firms around the country. And Chandra and I work together with clients as they are embarking on their client experience programs. And it's kind of a good marriage between us. So I'll let Chandra share about herself.
Well, thank you, Amanda, and thank you for your kind words. Hi, everyone. I'm Chandra Storston. I'm CEO and Chief Value Creation Officer for Visible Value. Thank you again for having us. For the past 17 years or so now, we've helped foster sustainable value creation strategies that have really allowed our professional service clients to capitalize on those pivotal opportunities during growth and transitions and transformations. And we really focus on helping our clients become those innovative leaders in their industry and achieve their vision, overcome crazy times of uncertainty like we have now, and consistently outperform their competition. And we really enjoyed working with Amanda and over the past few years, and it's been a lot of fun. So during the last 9 months or so, all of our clients' needs and wants and priorities, they've really changed. And therefore, so have their expectations of us as their service providers. So client experience, we feel that it should really be a top priority for firms always, but especially because of COVID, it's even more vital. And based on all the uncertainty that we are and really have been going through and experiencing, it's really important to put ourselves in our clients' shoes and have empathy for what they're going through to help us ensure that they have a really exceptional experience with our firm. Whether they're a prospective client, a new client, or a client that we've been working with for years, things are really changing. And As Courtney mentioned, this is building on our last session of, okay, like let's roll up our sleeves now and figure out how can we get started on the client experience journey. And a great way to do this is to create an empathy map. And we're going to do that today. We're going to create part of one. And empathy maps, they really help you see things from your client's perspectives, uncover those moments of delight that you can really build upon, and those moments of frustration that you can then improve. They also help you find opportunities where you can add value to your clients and discover those unmet needs and potentially offer them more services. Amanda, do you want to walk everyone through how to get started by creating a persona?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned before, Chandra had helped the organization that I worked with work through our very first client empathy map. And so through that, we had to first off start by developing a persona. And so a lot of times persona development is done in a closed room, like amongst marketers, and oftentimes we coach that it's okay to actually invite your persona to the table for a conversation. So so my very first persona that I had done for Chandra's empathy map, I actually went and sat down with our client to kind of get some firsthand knowledge about what they were looking for from us and what they were expecting, what their biggest fears were, and different things. So, so for this exercise, we've talked about using Courtney's business as our, we're going to do empathy mapping for her business, but we're going to put our feet in her client's shoes. And so since so many of you are from the construction world, we thought we would use a construction manager or GC as a persona for this. So really quick though, I'm going to share what one of these kind of looks like. So let me share my screen here. Okay. So this is an example that Chandra and I had done for a presentation that we had done several months ago. But a lot of folks in the room were looking at healthcare as their persona. So we chose just somebody random from the C-suite, and we made up who this person is and just kind of put it down on paper just to kind of give us an idea. So, I mean, you can spend an hour doing this with your group, or you can take 10 minutes even before a proposal and do this. And it's super helpful as you're developing your content and whatever you're putting together. So for this example, you know, we had a typical male CEO type in the world of healthcare. We added information about like what his likes were, you know, where he previously worked, what type of business he does, or what business his business provides, what his role is at the organization, what type of work they typically do, what he cares about, who his clients are within the industry, and what business disruptors were. And like today, yes, COVID is everybody's business disruptor, but we want to dig deeper than that. We want to understand what is disrupting their organizations, what he loses sleep over at night, how he sees his business in 5 to 10 years, and his ideal partner, you know, who he wants to bring on for projects. And then last but not least, helpful information like what he attends and what he's reading. So in the example that I gave earlier, it's not this persona, but the one that I did with Chandra, my first one, I sat down with an architect. I worked at an engineer's office. I sat down with an architect. We had been doing work in one particular market with them, and we were looking to expand our work into other markets. And to be able to sit down and have a one-on-one conversation with them and get to the root of what keeps them up at night and all of those things really helped us develop a better relationship with them. So, so over time, what we did and what we coach our folks in doing is as you develop these, keep them in a folder on your server, or keep them in your CRM system, as Courtney would share. But yeah, just like keep these, and you can use them as a reference or a Bible to go back to as you're as you're heading into an interview or preparing that next proposal. So I'm going to stop sharing that. And so today we're going to work through developing our own persona. And this should only take us like 5 or 10 minutes to do. And then we'll be able to use this persona then as we start working through the client experience map, or the client empathy map, I'm sorry. Okay, so we're going to pick on the CM folks or GC folks. So who are those in our room? So Christy, Amber, yeah, okay. So we're gonna need your help, okay, to help us kind of fill this in. So if you think of like your typical leader in the C-suite, this is the persona that we're developing it around. So let me share my new screen. All right, so I'm using this awesome tool called Miro. I don't know if many of you are accustomed to this, but it's fairly cool. So let's talk a little bit really quick. So if you can imagine somebody in your firm that's in the C-suite, what is their typical background?
In the general contracting C-suite or in our clients?
Yeah, in the general contracting C-suite. Yeah.
I am not the best person. Our C-suite is comprised of MEP engineers because we are both.
Okay, so maybe they're engineers. So maybe they've grown up in the organization and
That's what I was gonna say, is a lot of them are like technical staff that have climbed the ladder.
Yeah, a lot of ours have started out as pre-construction estimators or project managers, all of the construction management background training.
Does the background have anything to do then with their education?
Yeah, absolutely. So
Natalie, like what education do most of your guys
Well,
have? Like, is it construction degrees or
Well,
industrial?
construction management, and then even what sometimes is interesting to me is where they graduated from. You know, we use that a lot sometimes in different proposal pursuits or whatever. I don't know, you know.
When it's advantageous, right?
Right, but yes, a lot get estimating or construction management would be their education
Their
background.
yeah.
mhm.
And a lot of our guys, their families are, their parents were engineers, or their dad owns a contracting firm, where we're MEP engineers as well. But they've literally grown up in the industry, not only at their firm, but it was a part of their whole schema of their childhood.
That's a good point.
Yeah, these are all great nuggets to add to your persona. So, I mean, as the CMs in the room, you're probably not doing a persona for your own sake, but as you're thinking of an architect, or you're thinking of that healthcare client, or whatever it may be, these types of things matter when you start putting together, like as somebody said, the alma mater. I know Courtney's alma mater is Texas A&M. She's got it all over her shirt. So that's going to go in my persona about who Courtney is, and I can use that as a tool in my marketing or my business development approach with Courtney. So so that's something to consider as you're putting these together on your own. Okay, so let's talk about who are their clients.
Like, this is when I get to have the easy part, because y'all can just name who your clients are. Christy, what markets are y'all in?
We do a lot of healthcare and industrial work primarily.
But who's
Education.
So do you want like specific roles or just the markets?
yeah, like who specifically are they trying to target?
So
So
like the
if
facilities people?
Yeah, in the healthcare industry, who are you trying to target? Like, thinking of it that way.
For us, we actively target facility managers, CapEx planners, even down to like maintenance managers play a big role in our markets that we target.
I'm sorry, what was the one you said before planners?
It was CapEx planners, so capital expenditure planners.
Okay. Okay. So are any of you like in like a construction manager role where you're hiring other GCs or other tradespeople? So maybe you've got kind of these external clients, but you've also got your internal clients that you're worried about, like people you're bringing in as subcontractors maybe. So
Well, that's a good point.
I'm going to put that on there too, because I mean, these are folks that they're worried about keeping happy too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what's disrupting business outside of COVID?
Supply chain.
Yeah. We've been hearing that a lot.
As someone who just tried to renovate their house, supply.
Lack of trades, people just entering the workforce. It's hard to get enough people to do the subcontracting work.
Mm-hmm.
We work with people that work off of government contracts, so transitioning political climates.
Okay.
I feel like, I mean, it's kind of COVID related, but like one of the disruptors is just technology. Like the rate at which we've had to either shift or adopt, or even once we adopt, I feel like then like Zoom changes on us and then they change again, or just technology at large right now.
That's pretty fresh for you today. So
Oh, speaking of, I should check to see if there's any attendees. I got all involved. Okay, we're good.
are there any others real quick?
I would also say just like getting dragged, kicking and screaming into the 21st century.
You know, I don't know if this is something that y'all have seen, but I feel like one of the big shifts in 2020 or disruptors is like the acknowledgement of our personal lives, of our personal sides of like employee. Like, I know in the past we've always talked about culture and things like that, but that's all like internal. And for the first time, we've had to acknowledge that people have external existence outside of their companies.
Mm-hmm.
Another one that we've had repeat over the last couple years are mergers between companies, or companies getting sold, bought, all the stuff.
I'm
Great.
impressed you could spell that word. I can never spell that word, Amanda.
Those are definitely becoming more frequent, mergers and acquisitions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's pull up here real quick. So what kind of topics do you think the people in the C-suite are interested in at a construction management firm or a GC firm?
I feel like right now, any sort of funding, like we're going into the second round of the PPP loans, and whether that affects your business or your client's business or just our industry at large, because, you know, our industry was a huge hit to that the first time.
Yeah, I would say like economic outlooks for the next year and within the 5 years.
For us, it's constantly trying to stay engaged with technology and how we can bring on new technology to benefit our clients.
I would say also just diving into industry specifically that we do business in and what those industries are going to look like in the next, 5 years. We do a lot of automotive work, and obviously that world's changing a lot. So we're doing a lot of digging into how we need to shift as that industry shifts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Those are great. Any last minute ones? All right.
Do you look at them all externally, like employee retention? If there's a war for talent, I mean, that consumes a lot of our C-suite people.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that externally and internal look.
Mhm.
Okay. So let's talk about where do we find your people? What are they into? What are they reading?
ENR.
Sorry, I just tackled two of them at the same time. All right, so ENR.
Dodge reports.
We sent our C-suite to it's called like a technology exchange, but it's pretty much just one-on-one meetings with clients set up by a third party.
That's cool.
Other than that, you can find them at home with everybody else.
So I think as you're working on like a specific person, so if you're preparing to interview with a university, let's say, and you're doing these profiles for all 5 people that are interviewing you. You could even get into, hey, this guy hangs out at the dog park because he's got 2 Great Danes. Like you could really get that specific with things and then capture it in your CRM and all that other stuff too. So, but it really helps as you're developing relationships or having those conversations. We're just kind of doing more of a broad perspective on this one. So where you might find them, or what things are they reading?
I know here in Texas, we have Texo, which is like the general contractors equivalent of like AIA.
Business Journal, just to keep tabs on local going.
Okay.
Biz Now events are really popular here in Texas as well.
Okay. Any others? All right.
I'd say meetings that like economic development puts on, where we can learn about, what investments are coming into our community and what we should be looking out for.
Okay. All right. So for the sake of time, I'm just going to keep moving us along here. So what are some of their fears?
Staying profitable.
Staying comfortable? Is that what you said?
Staying profitable.
Oh, profitable. I'm all about yoga pants. So
I get the sense that our C-suite is very concerned about our like individual well-beings. Like they feel personally responsible for the employment of all of us here, which I mean, they are in a way.
It's a great one. It's a big topic in the construction world too, isn't it?
Project.
I would say
back-
concerns that, oh, sorry.
No, you go.
Sorry, Natalie.
No.
I was going to say concerns with, 6 months from now, are we going to have work for our PMs, or, we're always looking at our backlog, and we can be busy today, but are we signing up projects today that are going to keep us busy in the next year or so?
Okay. Right. So what is maybe a threat to them?
For us, it's larger companies. We're a very small company, so we often have to compete with the likes of Jacobs and Fleur, and that is sometimes a difficult task.
I would say the reason that they're watching so much economics is because economics is a threat right now, just the instability or perceived instability.
Anything else? What about like thinking internally? Are there any like internal threats that are maybe?
Succession.
Again, the war for talent.
Okay. So what are some of their pains?
Change.
Technology.
Change is so encompassing.
I would say how to keep associates engaged in this work from home world that we all got pushed into overnight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So their personal lives with everything going on.
I would say too, just like the like safety protocols, whether it's in the office, on the job site. I mean, I know with my husband in the ER, like every day, he's like, they changed it again. Like, this is what's new today.
For us, it's deciding on strategic measures for growth and just being brave enough to try new things, I suppose, in order to, excel growth for the company.
Mm.
Right. So what about the positive side? What are some of their wishes or wants?
Profit. Happy people. And to Natalie's point, happy people that they retain.
Yep, I was going to say good employee retention.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe happy clients that'll come back.
Yeah, client retention.
Okay. So what
I
are
would
they?
say like
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
like a strong future, like so they can sleep at night, like to Chrissy's point, like a full backlog or a more certain one or something.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Projects without delays and
Oh
unknown.
gosh. That's a big wish.
Okay. So what do they need?
I guess how is that different than their wants?
Well,
One
it's
is
kind of-
necessary and the other is desire.
yeah, that's what we teach our children, right? Wants versus needs.
So I guess they need enough money to keep the lights on and keep people paid.
They need committed staff, people committed to the mission of the company.
This is for Courtney. They need organized data. So we know, what to pursue, what we can pursue, our experience, all that. All goes back to that.
You make my heart happy.
They need excellent marketing content and collateral.
Mhm.
I would say like clear goals or clear objectives or like clear strategy.
Okay. I think this is good. So do you guys have a good idea of who we're dealing with here as we move into our discussion about empathy mapping?
Yeah.
Okay. And at any point, we can always kind of hop back. Usually this is an in-person thing, but yeah, we can always hop back to the screen if you need to look at something. Okay, so now that we've got our persona figured out, this is kind of what the empathy map looks like. So I'm just going to give a quick overview and then I'm going to turn it over to Chandra to walk us through this. So what we do is we are looking at basically the life of our relationship with any client. This could, I mean, it's not just the CM at this point, it could be anybody. But for this purpose, we're focusing on a CM. So we look at this first column here is called entice. So that's your marketing phase. That's when you're flirting at this point, right? You're trying to get out there, get known, meet with them, just get brand awareness and all of that type of stuff. So the enter phase is when, okay, you've sealed the deal, you've had your first date, now you are trying to close the deal. So you've got your interview phase, your proposals during this phase too. Your relationship has started and is now becoming a business transaction at this point. So then the third column we look at is engage, and this is the project delivery portion. So you're working together now. What does that look like? And then the exit phase, which is usually that kind of project closeout phase. You're wrapping up the project. Maybe you're doing punch lists or different things at that point, whatever it may be. And then the extend version is the last bit. And that's usually where a lot of us fall flat. It's kind of this, you've kind of disappeared into the horizon after a project's done. And this is really that opportune time to kind of develop some action items that you could use to really sort of start that cycle back over, but start at the interphase rather, or even skip into that engage phase right away, depending on your relationship. So then for each one of these columns, we walk through these different rows of things. So we want to learn about questions like, what are they asking? Maybe what are they asking from other folks? Needs, what do they want during this phase? What do they absolutely need from you? What are they thinking about? It's not maybe what they're talking about with others, but what are they thinking about back at their office or at home at night? How are they feeling during this time? What are they saying to others? Maybe not what they're asking, but what are they saying to other folks? And then what are they doing? What types of actions or activities are they doing? And then once we've gone through all of those for each column or for a column at a time, then we pause and take a moment to go back through for this bottom row to identify some actions that you can actually take. So you're finding maybe some weak points and things that you could do to help support that relationship. Or maybe you're discovering that they really enjoy a piece of your process. So how do you leverage that and then make it available to others? Or, you know, and sometimes Chandra discovers, you know, ways that you can even turn something into a whole new market or an opportunity. So, so it's really kind of a cool process to walk through with your organization. And if you're looking to be a hero, this is a really great way, or great tool to kind of start that whole conversation about CX. And you know, another presentation that Chandra and I have done is identifying low-hanging fruit. So, you know, from these action items, you can even discover things that are super easy to go ahead and do, or and then also maybe some heavier lifted items that are going to take some time. So I'm going to turn it over to Chandra. I think we're down to 15 minutes at this point, so I'm sorry. But we will try to whip through the entice section really quickly for just to give you all practice at this. So we might not fully complete something, but we'll push through it so we can all experience this together.
Thanks, Amanda.
Sure.
So what sort of questions do they have? What are they asking, whether it's of you as their potential service provider? You know, remember we put ourselves in the shoes of our persona. So what sort of questions do they have in this entice marketing phase, really before the relationship has begun?
I feel like a question that I get, whether it's C-suite, marketing, admin, whomever, is what do I not know? You're the expert, or like whether it's you're the expert in engineering, like Joyce's firm, or construction, like some of you others, it's like, what am I missing? They just have this fear of not seeing something.
Absolutely.
Or equally, like, what holes do you see? Well, I guess that's more in sales. That's a little farther down the line, but what are my options?
Yeah, absolutely. Your options. It's a great question.
How much is it going to cost?
Probably the most common question.
And flip side, or like, how much time is this going to take me? Like, how
Yeah,
fast
I
can
was
this get
just
done?
gonna say that. How much time?
Who's going to manage it?
Yeah. Any others?
I think we could flip the one on its head about what holes do we have.
Yeah, that's a good one. Awesome. So, go ahead,
Sometimes oh, go ahead. We can
no,
move
go
on.
ahead.
They want to know the process.
Yeah,
What they
absolutely.
expect.
Especially if they've never done whatever it is before. Absolutely. That's great.
Okay.
So moving on to needs and wants, we talked about these before. You know, they want profit, they want happy people, happy clients, retaining them. So let's move on to thinking. So what's weighing on their mind? Like, what's keeping them up at night? We talked a little bit about some of these things in the persona creation.
I would just say like workload. Like, I mean, I think all of us do, like this pending to-do list. So regardless of what level you're at in the firm, just how am I going to get everything done?
Absolutely. What else? What's weighing on their mind in the beginning of this process, in the beginning of their journey?
Will it be successful or a disaster?
Absolutely.
I think too, like sometimes regardless of which side of it, like if I'm pursuing a GC or if a GC is pursuing a client, will that prospect or will that client take a leap of faith? Like whether it's, I forget who said it, like to be brave and try something new, or just to kick it off. Like just, you've had this initiative of data cleanup forever. Are you going to take the leap? Like, are you going to do it?
Absolutely. Gonna move forward.
I was thinking, is this worth it?
Mm.
Yeah. Good one. So moving a little bit beyond what they're thinking, what are they feeling, and why are they feeling these things? If we think back to, you know, some of their wants and needs that we talked about earlier, the questions they're asking, what feelings are driving all of those?
Anxiety.
Anxiety, yeah. Why do you think they're anxious?
For everything above. Like, will their name be attached to a project that failed?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Or like they spent money where they shouldn't, or they overspent, you know, like all of those nuances.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would say even before COVID, it's always been safety. Like, are people safe on the site?
So they're probably worrying about that?
Yes.
I'm gonna go with feeling ambitious.
Good one. Yeah.
Positive.
I like positive ones. I get so many negative.
I was gonna say it, like hopeful. Like if they're gonna reach out, like they want a solution, so they're hopeful that there is a solution.
Hopeful, yeah, absolutely. So let's move on to saying. So these are things they're saying, not asking. So they're different from the questions above. These are comments they're making, whether it's to you all, whether it's to other stakeholders involved, people in their organization, other people in the project, their clients. It could be to your competitors as well.
For us, it goes along with the, classic keep on keeping on. Just keeping the faith, believing that, we're all gonna get back to a sense of normalcy eventually.
Yeah, I hear that a lot lately, that's for sure. What other things are they saying?
How about organizing our data could solve everything?
That's great. Absolutely. Organized data is key.
I love can't I just push a button?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Or like, where's the easy button, I guess is.
That's a great one.
What are they?
I think.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, thinking about what Chandra said, what are they saying to their competitors, like, or to your competitors? I mean,
can you go lower in price?
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, I disrupted Courtney.
I don't remember, but we can go on.
So what are they doing? What are they doing during this entice stage? Before they really entered in this relationship.
They're in research mode.
Yeah.
I feel like that could be anything from like checking out websites to social media to LinkedIn posts to, I mean, just all that.
Mhm. What else are they doing? What are you all typically doing?
Looking
Preparing
at the budget.
proposals.
Sorry?
I heard looking at the budget, and then I missed the other.
Budget. Yeah.
Is there another comment?
Yeah, I was just saying preparing proposals. Like some of them either are writing a proposal for the first time, regurgitating a past proposal that they've put out, like a RFQ, RFP.
Mhm.
Figuring out how to make our lives more difficult.
Looking at goals or refining or changing goals.
As they're asking questions, absolutely.
They're in meetings.
Yeah. Zoom meetings, lots of Zoom meetings. So they're really, really busy during the stage. So thinking about all of these things we just went through super quick, what can you do to help with the above? What can we do to provide them with information before they need it, or before they ask questions? What can we do to help reduce some of their fears or help amplify those positive emotions? Anyone have any ideas?
I mean, for the research part of it, like being proactive and making it easy for them to find the answers to the questions that we had identified.
Yeah.
So whether it's just like blog post of why there's not an easy button.
Yeah, I was going to say that, be a resource for them, share information.
Absolutely. Yeah. Maybe building on being a resource for them, perhaps introducing them to one of your other clients that's gone through a similar project.
Yep, making introductions.
What other things do you think we can do to help them?
I feel like going back to that whole, like, what do I not know? Like helping them ask the questions that they don't know to ask. Like
Yeah.
when I was a marketing manager, like reaching out to the clients and saying, actually, when you ask this question in a proposal this way, it's not helpful for either sides. What you're really wanting is this. Like if you reword the question this way, you would get what you want and we would be able to provide it better. So I think that like kind of a education side of it too.
Yeah. Maybe doing some videos or infographics or something like that. You know, top 10 questions you should ask before embarking on this project.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those great ideas. What other ideas do we have? What would you all find valuable?
If it's if they're deciding to bring on a new client, seeing that client's or like a new consultant, seeing that consultant's success rate.
Yeah. Absolutely. Maybe some testimonials, references. Yeah. All of these things are really great when you can provide them before your client needs them. Save a lot of that back and forth and hopefully shorten the entice stage and get them into the next stage as quickly as possible. Any other ideas?
So I think what was helpful for me when I went through this with you, Chandra, is almost looking at each one of these as individual opportunities to discover something or discover a way to address something. So like, you talked about providing information, whether it's a blog post or infographic, video, whatever it is, like even considering this, looking at the budget, like they're looking at their budget, like how does it fit in their budget? 10 ways this fits into whatever, or how much should you really budget in 2021? Like, just some of those kind of blog topics, whatever it may be, you can really get into the weeds on a lot of these as you're going through and discovering your action items.
Absolutely. And it's really great if you go through this process with your team, that you invite a diverse set of your team members, bring someone in from project delivery, bring someone in from estimating, bring someone in from finance. I mean, the more opinions you can get and the more ideas, because every single person in the organization sees and experiences things differently. So the more buy-in, the more excitement you can get around, let's really figure out how we can improve the client experience. The easier it is going to be to take these action items and actually do something with them. And Amanda and I always recommend that you pick a couple of low-hanging fruit, some quick, easy wins, like Amanda mentioned, as well as saying, okay, we've got, oftentimes Amanda and I do these with clients, and we could end up with 100 action items. So it's important to boil it down, prioritize, have some immediate things you want to do, some kind of medium term, and then some longer term initiatives that are likely going to give a really high ROI, but they're going to take time and to get buy-in in the organization, and potentially to get budget associated with doing whatever's in them. So it's important to kind of get the snowball going and build it as it rolls down the hill.
Yeah, I think you brought up a good point too. I mean, generating buy-in is what really helps make any CX program successful. So those low-hanging fruit, if you can tackle a couple of those and celebrate those small wins and share the heck out of it, and then it just kind of generates this excitement and snowballs, as Chandra was mentioning.
I have a couple of questions. I'm thinking about this process. Is it question time?
Yeah,
Did I interrupt?
Thank you for the segue.
So I heard you earlier say, Amanda, that you're surveying your clients. It seems like there's the first page portion, you're doing that based on your client's feedback directly. And then this part you're doing internally with your team, or are you guessing with your whole team the entire time what you think your clients need in these areas?
Right. So I think if you've already got surveys in place, that information is helpful as you walk into doing a client empathy map like this, or whatever CX strategies you're trying to lay out. But if you don't have that, this is a great place to start, and you can put yourself in and pretend that you kind of jump into their heads to kind of understand what they're doing. But as Chandra and I said earlier, it's not a faux pas to actually, invite your client to the room for this discussion too. It's a great opportunity as a business development tool, and a great way to engage them, and really show your commitment to serving them better, even though you'll be serving their other competitors better too at the same time. But yeah, I think it's just a great way to engage folks and to get real life feedback. That's not you trying to understand or pretend,
Right.
get into their frame of mind.
Have you experienced that your clients are successful getting their clients in the room for this process? Or do you find they're more willing to just do a survey? Like, mostly are you getting them from surveys, or you're actually getting clients in the room for this?
I can say that I've done this once with a client in the room, and then a lot of the other efforts are typically through external or through like client perception surveys.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to get people to dedicate the time to do this. Although if you break it down into just one part of the client journey, like we did today with the Entice section, I've done it with 3 or 4 clients now. And it's been really powerful. And what I found is my clients' clients who really feel like their partners as opposed to clients are much more willing to invest the time in the relationship because they understand that they're going to get more value out of it too. But like Amanda said, it's definitely more common to just take the feedback from the surveys. But I that's one of my things. I'm like this, especially during COVID, the more you can get your client involved in the process, I feel like they're going to get so much more value and they'll appreciate you so much more for it.
I feel like the other way that you could kind of approach it as well, and how I tend to approach it, because CX is not part of CRM yet. We haven't, married those things, but yet. So anytime that I bring that up is like, hey, if you want to join me as I go through this exercise, then you can learn how to do it for yourselves too, because no matter who it is, your client has clients. Like whether it's the facilities guy, well, he has end users at the other end of those facilities that he or she can then think of for their own CX. So it's not a waste of time and it's not for nothing. I think that it's also a kind of a free tutorial that you can open their eyes to something as well.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of the education piece.
I would go back to say that one time that we had the client in the room, it was because our leadership was brave enough to ask. And that's the big part of it, like convincing the C-suite that it's okay to talk to the clients. We want to hear from them. We want to understand what their issues are, what they're dealing with. So it just makes that process so much better. And as Courtney said, it could be a double-edged sword and beneficial to everybody. So
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Any other questions?
I have a couple more, but I'm going to let other people ask. If anybody else has.
Before we ask questions, I am going to drop the link into the recap. It doesn't have the video. Obviously, we're not done yet, but I did want to get this link out to everybody so that you could have your own notes. It's just stuff that we've talked about as I've been documenting. If you have other stuff to add to the recap, feel free to let me know as well. But I kind of wanted to explain what that link was before I hit return. Valerie, you can ask your question.
So, and first, Amanda, I saw your sample was about a specific person.
mm-hmm.
But I'm assuming you can't do this I'm thinking about prospects, right? It would be really hard to do this for every single prospect you're pursuing. If you're pursuing 100, if you have 100 leads a week, right? So would you do this for specific titles instead, like, design director, let's just say, or facility,
Yeah.
I think y'all pulled out some titles. You would just have kind of a persona for that specific title.
Yes, absolutely. The time that we have done them in the past with clients that are specific people are usually ahead of a proposal, a giant proposal, or ahead of an interview. It really helps you really dive it down into the weeds. I mean, we had people that were researching Pinterest pages to understand,
Right.
what their favorite craft was, just to help make those deeper connections at the interview phase.
I like
I
that. That makes a lot of sense.
It's on the must wins. Whenever you start to hear that language, we must win this, this has to be good. This has to put forth the effort. Those are kind of the things that I think start to perk up your ear and go, maybe we need to do this exercise.
Yeah. So I recently did this with a client and so they're in the education market. And so Chandra's working with me on this client too. But K-12 and higher ed are their education markets that they're focused on. And so in the K-12 world, we had superintendents that we did a persona for. We had the VP of finance, the treasurers, just breaking it down that way as more general groupings of people rather than specific people.
And as consultants, are you both doing this for your own clients and prospects? I'm just curious because, we're consultants too.
Absolutely. It's an exercise we go through every year. And or as we enter new markets or offer new services, or find that we're dealing with new stakeholders, because everybody approaches the projects a little bit differently.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's really valuable.
Yeah, I actually used this as an opportunity this fall to do it with my husband. My husband's also an entrepreneur. He's an architect, has his own business. So in a way, it was almost a good relationship tool too, to kind of dig into, what makes it work best within our relationship too. But so we did it for his business, but we also did it alongside mine, to kind of help us kind of plan for the year. So we're both solopreneurs, so it was an opportunity to do that. It was the first time we had both done this, even though Chandra and I practice this, but to practice what you preach is a whole different story. but yeah.
So Amanda,
Awesome. Thank y'all.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying, Amanda, do you want to tell everyone what we're going to provide them with?
Oh, yes. So I did this in Miro, but we actually have like just a PDF that sort of outlines and showcases the actual diagram, so that you can do it back at your office or at home, or however, in whatever means you want to do it. In the world of in person, Chandra and I have done this where we stick it up on a wall, and it's done with actual Post-it notes. So that's a lot of fun that I miss these days. But but we'll share those tools with you. And then we also have a blog post. So Chandra and I are part of a group that we formed together called Heat Lamp. And we created a blog post on there that actually kind of walks you through how to do this, and like who to involve and all of that. And there's links to the download for those documents. So and we have a sample.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So we'll send
That's
those to
awesome.
Courtney, or send that link to Courtney.
Yeah, and I'll be able to get it up on the recap, and then can also try to get it into the automatic email that's going to come out from Zoom. That's the piece that I don't really know. So that's why I wanted to make sure that you guys got this. We usually did that manually. Now we're at Zoom's mercy. So I just wanted to let y'all know that. The last thing before we jump off, I know we're over, so if you need to jump. Joyce and I were talking before the holidays about managing workload and what tools. And I had mentioned, hey, did you want to bring it up to the group? She had looked at coschedule.com and didn't know if anybody on the team had software like Monday.com or anything like that you guys are using really successfully. So before we jumped off, I just wanted to open that question up to the group.
So I'll chime in. We use Monday.com and absolutely love it. It is a really flexible tool. You can manage anything in there. It definitely does have its limitations depending on how intricate your projects get. We have a lot of clients who are using the typical industry tools that I'm sure you're all familiar with. But I actually have 2 clients right now who are in pretty heavy conversations with MavenLink. I don't know if you all have heard of that, but it is really, I think they're starting, they've been a popular tool for other industries like software industry and stuff like that for quite so many years now, but I think they're starting to push into the AEC world. And I'd say definitely give it a look. Both of these 2 clients are really impressed with what they've seen so far, and seriously, just on the cusp of making a purchase decision.
Yeah.
And I appreciate your input. One of the other things I'd be interested to hear if anyone has project management systems that interface with their social media. That's one of the things I like about CoSchedule is that you can, draft a post and then push it to all your platforms on one. Which, I mean, we're a small team right now, but we've got multiple offices, and currently our marketing centralized. So I'm trying to think 5 years down the line when all the marketers aren't sitting in this room. So just any recommendations on that, systems or social media management as well. I'm trying to kind of keep those all together, because if I can just I want to be able to keep my hands around all of it.
I know Procore has been doing a lot of internal system development. I don't know what all they're going to be coming out with. I hardly ever work in the Procore system.
It's more of a project, like a construction project management system, right? Okay.
Yeah, but we use it for our engineering projects too. But I know that they've developed like some CRM capabilities, and I know that they're coming out with more stuff in the future.
Okay. Well, thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Fantastic. And if you guys have any questions like that you want me to pose to the group, if you can't attend or what have you, just shoot me an email and let me know, and I'll put it on my calendar so that I remember to ask the group. So I will get this recording posted. Thank you all for joining, and look for next Thursday is our CRM user group call. And then we'll have another marketing call come February on the first Wednesday. Thank you so much, Amanda and Chandra, for spending your afternoon with us and for enlightening us. I know that I always get the, what keeps your clients up at night? And I can never answer that. And then this exercise, I'm like, oh, well, if you ask questions like that, then it walks you there. It helps you get there. But sometimes when they ask that, like, I shut down. I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know what keeps me up at night. Like, how am I supposed to know what keeps them up? So thank you for breaking that down and making it more simple.
Yeah, and if anybody's venturing into client experience and needs any information or help or just somebody to bounce things off of, Chandra and I are always open for conversations. We can talk about this stuff all the time. So
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. You guys have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
Yes.